Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys a review for Boruto episode 164, which is now done and in the books. And I gotta go ahead and say, man, just right off the top, there were a couple things I thought that the anime set out, in particular with this episode, to do for the character of Mugino that I think the anime did a good job of actually accomplishing. So I'm gonna go ahead and give them props on this, but for the overall episode, this was a very simple episode. You could almost call this one a setup episode, even though there was a considerable amount of action in this episode. So this review is gonna be pretty to the point. It's gonna be short for at least my standards. So with all that being said though, let's go ahead and get into the episode. So I gotta say, man, I thought that it was interesting how they opened up at the very beginning of the episode where you have Boruto and Team 7 and Mugino, and they're confronting that ninja from the Hidden Haze Village. And I really like the throwback elements that you get with the ninja from the Hidden Haze Village. Now, I know somebody's like, what do you mean by throwback elements? Well, simple. It's the fact that with each of these Hidden Haze ninja, the thing that we keep seeing over and over with them is they are more so cut from the cloth of not this new generation, but the generation that Kakashi grew up in, which was essentially when the third Hokage was Hokage before Minato died. The thing that the third Hokage was known for was that ninja during that time period, they put the mission first. Failure was not an option. It didn't matter if your teammates needed to die. Kakashi's father can attest to that. Your first priority before anything else was seeing the mission through to the end. And so when you look at these Haze Village ninja, repeatedly we see that they're not afraid to sacrifice their life. And I think that one thing that they are setting up is every time one of these ninja pass away, the earrings go to the, essentially I'm guessing the oldest brother out of all of them, or at least the squad leader for this team, because every time one of them pass away, that guy's always shown with one more earring being passed on to him. So I'm not sure if maybe when 3 of those brothers pass away, if something special happens when all 4 earrings are on one person, but they keep putting emphasis on that. So I'm wondering what the long game on that moment is. But for the character of Mugino, I gotta go ahead and say, you know, I've already kind of seen some comments on various places that I read to get a temperature check on what people think about the episodes, and some people say they feel like he's being too hard on Boruto, and I disagree with that. I disagree, because when you look at the steps he had to go through in order to break out that barrier seal, he was telling Boruto correct. Boruto said, hey, you know, we just need to take down that monster that he transformed into, and if we do that, the barrier is gonna break. And with Mugino took the logical approach, which was you can't do what Boruto suggested. And the reason why I agree with that is what Mugino was trying to say in that scene that he didn't effectively communicate was the fact that there are some jutsu that exist out there that it doesn't matter if you take out the jutsu caster, the jutsu's still gonna continue after the caster's killed off. A perfect example would be Edo Tensei. So Mugino was telling Boruto correct. Now in this case, Boruto's instincts were absolutely spot on, but there are times where your instincts can get you in trouble, and Sarada tries to tell Boruto this much in so many different ways. She tries to say, hey, it can't be helped that he doesn't trust us, because at the end of the day, he's a Jonin, he's more experienced than us, and Boruto agrees with it, but you can tell Boruto to a certain extent does not like being put in this place. And I like the fact that even Mugino looks over at Konohamaru and says, you spoiled them too much. They get off the rails a little too much. They're not as focused and disciplined as they need to be. And I think the reason why this is so important to hear another character say this is the fact that Team 7, you have to remember, all the other Ganin, they look at Team 7, there's a little bit of jealousy there. We've seen this in the anime very early on. Team 7 has not really failed a mission. Now, when it comes to what happened here in the Land of Silence and what happened when they went to the Hidden Valley Village in particular, they failed a mission then. But before that, Team 7, most of the missions, if not all of them, ended in success. The anime went out of its way early on to say, have a team say that that team is perfect, they never fail missions. And we've seen it how these characters are being put on dangerous missions and they're slowly going up in ranking. So I thought that that was interesting there. Now, I also like the fact that with Mugino, the other thing that we see is that this guy, every move that he makes, there's a logical conclusion to it. And so I like that you also see the observation in this guy, because when Boruto tries to attack that monster from that other world, what you end up seeing is that when Boruto gets his soul sucked out, Konohamaru manages to land in a Rasengan hit. And fun fact, he's actually the only one who in that first fight was able to land a hit. But Mugino immediately scoops up Boruto and says, we need to get out of here. And it's really the right call, because at the end of the day, they're fighting somebody that they have no intel on, and you should not go into a battle where you're not able to be on the offensive. You're constantly on the defensive in a situation like this. There's too much you don't know about the enemy. It's really your best choice to retreat, come up with a strategy, and go back to it. So I thought that that was interesting. I did think it was a little cutthroat that, you know, that ninja from the Hidden Haze village, when he's in that transformed state, was going through and basically taking the life force out of all the living creatures in the forest. I thought that that was a little cutthroat, but you know, I understand why you do that though. You know, they're trying to essentially say, hey, this guy's a really big deal. The other thing I'll definitely say is I thought that, you know, it was an interesting choice for them to have Team 7 fight against this creature from that ethereal plane. And the fact of the matter is that if you watch that fight very closely, Sarda never used her Sharingan. And the reason why I thought that was interesting is if you look at the way that that creature was fighting, it was able to dodge a lot of those attacks. And I thought Sarda using her Sharingan would have gave her an edge when it came to actually reading and predicting movements. That was an interesting choice for that aspect of the fight, but I did think that Team 7's coordination was pretty damn cool. I liked the fact that Sarda did call shots on that, so I thought that that was nice to see. I also thought it was nice for Konohamaru to remind the audience, which I gotta keep saying this for the anime, one of the things that they're doing is they constantly make references to stuff that happened back in part 1 of Naruto, and I like the fact that Konohamaru said like, hey, you know, this creature appears to be in the same vein as what the Reaper Death Seal was that my grandfather used. This appears to be in the same vein of what we saw in Dai Dai Village, which I thought that that was interesting that Konohamaru made a callback to when he failed to protect his girlfriend in that arc. So I thought that that was cool to see those little connections there. Now, the thing about Mugino that I like at the end of this episode is the fact that with Mugino, what we end up seeing is that this guy is not afraid to risk his life, and he's not afraid to essentially put himself in harm's way, because after breaking the barrier seal fails because Team 7 fails to contain this creature, you get this moment where Mugino realizes that, okay, Boruto's hunch was correct. And I think that this is what really puts Mugino over. See, the reason why you can give the green light on destroying this monster now is because the way that it reacted to the barrier and being in the process of being destroyed, it lets you know that Boruto's plan could have indeed worked, because there's a link between that barrier and between the creature itself. The way that it acted so desperately, that shows you, okay, there is some type of link. So I thought that that was cool there. And once Mugino says, Sarda, you back me up, I like the fact that there's enough chemistry between Mugino and Konohamaru that Konohamaru takes one look at the situation and says, I know what this guy is trying to do. And I like those little small cues right there. And I thought it was pretty badass that, you know, Mugino was basically holding that creature over his head and fighting off the fact that his chakra is being sucked out of him. And I thought it was cool how you see Boruto and Konohamaru and the Rasengan's hit. And I thought that the animation choice was very interesting. If you look at Boruto's Rasengan in that scene right there, Boruto's Rasengan's a deeper shade of blue than Konohamaru's is. There's some blue and white mixed into it, and that's interesting to see that aspect there. Now, I'm gonna close out when it comes to Deepa. I thought that Deepa killing Amoi's men was very cool to see. I wish we would have saw more of Deepa versus Amoi. I hate the fact that so much of it happened off screen, and I've seen some people say, well, why did Deepa kill Amoi's men? He said that he kept his word. Well, the reason being is that he said, if you guys tell me where I can find the Hashirama cell, I'll let this guy live. This guy being Amoi. He never said that he would let Amoi's men live. And so I thought that that was pretty cutthroat to see him actually kill off all those different ninja before running off himself. So I thought that, you know, overall, I thought they did a good job of getting Mugino over, and I think they're doing a decent job of getting Deepa over. Again, we know that because he took out a Raikage candidate, that the guy is at least at that low Kage tier. So it's gonna be interesting to see how Team 7 matches up against this guy, or if somebody's gonna come in and fight Deepa for them. But my episode question to you guys is, do you guys agree with Mugino? Do you think that Team 7 is too spoiled and too inexperienced? Do you think that Mugino's come to the same conclusion as Sasuke did, that yes, while they're very talented, their inexperienced and naive view of the world is a liability? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. As always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.